Alrighty, folks, latest on Hurricane Irene is bad news and more bad news. Let's take a look at the current satellite imagery showing that she continues to barrel towards the northeastern United States. She's down to a strong Cat 2, winds at 110, but she might strengthen later today because that eye's really looking good. But don't be fooled by the numbers, you guys. She's down like 4 miles an hour. It's nothing to freak out about. Also, another thing we should be thinking is that her wind field is expanding as she pushes into North Carolina. Now, she's not pushing into North Carolina, but she will, and she will push into the rest of the Mid-Atlantic. Taking a look at the projected path, we have her as a Cat 3 or minimal Cat 3, strong Cat 2, whatever, pushing into North Carolina, winds 100 to 115 in the eye wall, and then as she continues to barrel up the East Coast, she's going from a 3 to a 2 to a 1, making landfall around East Hampton Beach, then around New London, Connecticut, then back up towards eastern Massachusetts, with the strongest winds along and east of the track and the heaviest rain along and west of the track. So you don't want to be along the track because then you'll get heavy rains and wind, which is not a fun duo for Long Island back through eastern Connecticut. Alright, in terms of impacts, we're going to get to that in a bit, but I just want to discuss warnings. I'm all about warnings. Hurricane warnings up for eastern North Carolina. Those are extended right now through the Hampton Roads of Virginia. I know I have a lot of visitors in Virginia, and what I can say about you is right now is that if you live from Norfolk to Virginia Beach all the way back through the Tidewater and even the coastal waters, expect hurricane force winds, expect damage, widespread tree damage, expect power outages as far inland as Richmond, where there's a tropical storm warning, although areas west of Richmond won't get really hit hard. As we get further north, hurricane warnings extended all the way to Sandy Hook, New Jersey, and then their watches further northward. The watches will become upgraded to warnings. Why? Because it's beyond the 36-hour window. Well, it's 36 hours for a watch, 24 hours for a warning. So that is, we're expecting tropical storm conditions to arrive within 24 hours in Sandy Hook, and within hurricane conditions within 24 hours at Sandy Hook, and hurricane conditions within 36 hours around the New York City metro area, back through southwest Connecticut and Long Island. And then as we get towards the southern New England area, hurricane watches up for most of the south coast, and then look how far those what do they call the tropical storm watches go so far inland, all the way to the Mass New Hampshire border, from which there is a flood watch for southern New Hampshire and Vermont. But I think there could be damaging wind all the way to Concord this time around, because this thing's just going to be so massive when it barrels into New England. Portland, Maine, you could even see strong tropical storm force winds. Let's get to the hurricane models. They're all over southern New England. I called out the 6C models, and I called them clowns. I wasn't calling anyone a clown. They are models. They're computers, but they were over the hugging the coast, and now I think it's going to go just offshore the coast by about 20 miles, head into Long Island, start to turn northeast through Connecticut, back on in through central and eastern Massachusetts. The exact track, undetermined, but likely near New London and then near East Hampton. Well, it goes over North Carolina, East Hampton Beach, New London. So sort of 3 landfalls if you count the New London one. Top local winds, probably hurricane force for most of the coastal mid-Atlantic back through eastern Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and South Connecticut. There could be hurricane force wind gusts as far inland as Hartford and Worcester, but I wouldn't bet on it quite yet. Of course, the wind gusts will be well over 100 miles an hour on eastern North Carolina, so that's why they're evacuating everyone, plus the water rise, which we're also going to get to a bit. I know I also have a decent amount of fans from southern New England. Basically, right now, you're probably looking at hurricane force winds along the coast, and then tropical storm force winds with possible hurricane force gusts further inland. And then once you get north of the Pike, outside of 495, we'll just be seeing tropical storm force wind gusts with places like Worcester towards Fitchburg. Okay, and anything else to show you? Oh yes, of course. Rainfall accumulation along in the west of the track will be 6 to 10 inches. Could be up to a foot in some areas. So that's going to be absolutely crippling because the ground is so wet. This will be devastating rainfall accumulations for New York. That's why they shut down the mass transit system. They were going to have a conference today on whether or not they're going to evacuate the city. I don't see a need for it, but they'll, of course, make that final decision. And the reason why I don't see a need for it is everyone's saying, Nick, it could flood storm surge. Well, yeah, it could flood storm surge into New York and Manhattan, but the good news for them is that the track is shifted east, or at least the National Hurricane Center track is shifted east, so that there would be a wind from the north instead of a wind from the south, which would not force water to go over Manhattan. But can it shift back west? Yeah, sure, it can shift back west, but that's unlikely. All right, the storm surge, it's 4 to 8 feet for most areas. Providence and New Bedford, you're really going to have to watch out this time around because Narragansett Bay and Buzzards Bay are both going to be in a pretty significant threat for storm surge flooding because of the way they are shaped. Also, some storm surge along the south coast of Connecticut and the south coast of Rhode Island. Providence and New Bedford are some cities that come to mind that would be 4 to 8 feet, up to 10 or 12. But that would be at the way upper limit. So, once again, folks, hurricane force winds along most of the northeastern U.S. seaboard, and potentially winds gusting to over 100 miles an hour for some. For the folks in southeast Virginia, take heed of local evacuations. Don't think you can ride it out. And if I've already tell you to leave, leave. There's no reason to stay. I know it's inconvenient, but when you're dealing with winds that could go this strong, it could be coming through as a Category 2 hurricane in southeast Virginia. You leave. You leave and you do not, and you just, it doesn't make any sense for me. I wouldn't stay if I was under evacuation. It would be a horrible idea, and you know how I love storms. So that's it for now, folks. I probably kept you too long, but I think I informed you well. I'll see you later.